Tonight on our program, we'll be featuring a number of guests. Our first guest tonight is Father Stan Chu Ilo, who is a research professor of ecclesiology, world Catholicism, and intercultural theology at the DePaul University in Chicago, United States of America. He will be taking us through what happened at the burial of the Pope, what to expect from the conclave, and the future of the Catholic Church in Africa. Also tonight we'll be looking at service, and our guest is Alan Ntambi, past District Road Tract representative. He came all the way from somewhere in Africa that I won't be talking about, but he's already in the studio and getting ready to speak with us later on the program. We have these and more on your late night show, Full Day. Don't go away. Trending tonight, Justice Njideka Nwosu-Iheme of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Wuse Zone 2, Abuja, has sentenced the husband of late singer Osinachi Peter Nwachukwu to death by hanging. Justice Nwosu-Iheme found him guilty of culpable homicide resulting in the death of the deceased on April 8, 2022. The judge sentenced Nwachukwu to death after the court had held that the prosecution had proven the burden of proof placed on it by the law and subsequently found defendant guilty. Nwachukwu was arraigned on June 3, 2022 by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation on behalf of the federal government on a 23-count charge bordering on culpable homicide, punishable with death, criminal intimidation, cruelty to children, criminal intimidation of children, spousal battery, among others. Justice Nwachukwu-Iheme sentenced Nwachukwu to death by hanging on count 1, while he was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment each on counts 2, 3, 8, 9, 12, 13, and 18. The court sentenced the defendant to 6 months imprisonment on count 10, 3 years imprisonment on count 11, while he was fined a sum of 500,000 naira and 200,000 naira on counts 6 and 7. The late gospel artist, who had several tracks including Ekwueme, died at the age of 42. Her death triggered outrage in the country, with fans and Nigerians calling for justice for the singer. Also trending, after 10 days of closure to make way for rehabilitation, the runway of the Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, has been reopened. Correspondent Ugonna Owalu, who was at the airport on Monday, reports that aircraft are expected to land and take off from the runway by Tuesday.
The asphalt surface of the runway had suffered a severe rupture, prompting the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, to temporarily close the airport for repairs. The closure had far-fetching implications, affecting passengers, airlines, and the local economy. The Southeast Regional Manager at the Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, Hilary Omonna, while taking Signature TV through the runway, emphasized that the airport had always been very safe and remains so as part of its core values. He maintained that FAN remains committed to the well-being of the passengers and staff, as well as providing a secure and conducive environment for all. From all indications, the runway is ready for safe landing and takeoff of aircraft, to the delight of the air travelers. From the Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, Ugonna Owalu reporting for Signature TV.
And also trending, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived at the Tel Aviv District Court on Monday to testify in his long-running corruption trial. He has denied any wrongdoing and has pleaded not guilty. Netanyahu is on trial over a series of corruption charges, which he denies. He appears weekly in a Tel Aviv court to testify in the 2019 indictment in 3 cases involving gifts from millionaire friends and allegedly seeking regulatory favors for media tycoons in return for favorable news coverage. And finally, on our trending list tonight, 16th century Sistine Chapel where conclaves are held, was closed to tourists on Monday to allow for preparations for the vote. Visitors who queued outside the Vatican Museum expressed disappointment at not being able to see the famous frescoes by Michelangelo. Art students from China, Go Feng and Feng Guoyang, said it was a big regret not to see the chapel.
I've been here before. I was here about 25 years ago. These guys have never been here before. My mum loves history. Would have been amazing to see the Michelangelo picture. I mean, that's stunning. But look, I think we still enjoyed what we saw. There were still many, many, many rooms that we could explore. And I think we still got a lot out of it. But yeah, obviously disappointed that we didn't get to see.
Definitely disappointed.
Yeah.
To come from so far, to be able to not to go into one of the major sites is very disappointing. Yes.
Yeah. And also they don't
refund you the money.
A refund for that particular. But I guess we still got to experience some of it. So it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit empty for my expectation. I was thinking that will be crowded, but it's good to see all the parts. But of course, we missed the jewel of the crown, the Sistine Chapel. But we understand the situation, and we have to go back another time.
We are the art students, and we come from China to study art. And in this year, we visit a lot of museums, but it's very afraid that we can't see the sistines.
Okay, we've been planning this for many years. We were coming, we got cancelled for various reasons. We were disappointed about the Sistine Chapel, but after being in the museum, I'm fine with it. Yeah, it's beautiful. It was beautiful.
So we've been planning the trip for about 3 weeks. We were a little bit sad that whenever we heard the Sistine Chapel was closed, we really wanted to see the creation of man, right? So a little bit sad about it, but we understand the situation and everything, so not too bad.
For what I know, for what we were told, the Vatican museums arrange a specific path to not being too close to the Sistine Chapel. So they arrange a special, itinerary inside. But we see many things anyway.
I knew there's a lot to see, so we are not going everything to see because that's too much. And Sixtine Chapel, it's not good.
Chapel is closed, so that's...
I have to come back for seeing it because we have get a mail that it's closed. So
Cardinals met on Monday for the first time after the funeral of Pope Francis to discuss a possible date to enter a secret conclave and elect the next leader of the global church. The conclave is not expected to begin before May 6. Francis, Pope since 2013, died aged 88 on April 21. His funeral on Saturday and a procession through Rome to his burial place at the Basilica of St. Mary's Major attracted crowds estimated at more than 400,000. You're watching Full Day. We'll be back after this timeout. Joining us from the United States of America is a research professor, ecclesiology, World Catholicism and African Studies Center for World Catholicism and Intercultural Theology at DePaul University in Chicago, Father Stan Chu Ilo. Father Stan, glad to have you on Full Day. Hello, Father Stan.
Hello, Vin.
Can you hear me, Father Stan?
Yes, I can.
Father Stan, you did a lot of work in the Vatican while Pope Francis was alive, and you had written so much on some of the things that happen at the Vatican, especially the relationship between the Vatican and the African Church. But first of all, tell me how you felt when you saw the entire world come to a standstill at the burial of Pope Francis.
Thank you very much, Vin. It's so good to be here. I think that the global outpouring of love, emotion for Pope Francis is, for me, a vindication of what he represented, because I have never seen a pope that had faced so much internal criticism as well as external criticism. You know, many people fail to understand that this man was a prophet who saw tomorrow, who understood clearly that the Catholic Church, and indeed all religious systems and institutions at this present time in human history, we are all being called to become healers, bandaging wounds, extending a hand of friendship to lift those who are down up, and to create and build bridges of friendship. So these are the things that Jesus lived. These are also the things that Pope Francis embodied in his own humble and simple way. But like he constantly said, let us make a mess. Let us move and shake the system so that people can wake up from their slumber and see the sea of suffering humanity that is in need of healing. That's why constantly at the beginning, indeed, of his papacy, he called the world and the church to what he calls a revolution of tenderness. And that revolution of tenderness is about bandaging wounds by extending the love and kindness of God. It is not about watering down the faith. Actually, Pope Francis never changed any single Catholic doctrine, as some of his detractors have charged against him. But he said the church is not just about the logic of law, but rather the logic of love. So that outpouring, seeing so many people from all over the world, seeing thousands of people, they have never seen anything like that in Rome. I think the last time that Rome's street were lined up to welcome or say goodbye to a pope, we go back into the late 18th century, Pope Pius the Sixth, who had died in violence, and then he had to be brought back by Pope Pius the Seventh because of the crisis of the papacy at that time. So this was a vindication of a life well lived, and that the message of Pope Francis is a message that resonated with many people across the world, across religions, across races, across nations. He indeed was, like many people have said, a pope of the world and a pope of the poor.
This was a man who tried to remove all the ostentatious things that had to come with the papacy, with the position of being pope. And he did a lot of ordinary things. I was just watching a report sometime this morning where I found out that Pope Francis called a Catholic church in Gaza in the last 1 year or more. He called them every night at 8 o'clock. Every night at 8 o'clock, calling them for the last time on Saturday, 2 days before his death on Easter Monday. Was this, part of that people's pope that Pope Francis had become over these years?
Yes, and I would think also that he did not just become this way when he became a pope. This has been the way he lived his life. one of the most important documents produced in the Catholic Church in Latin America is the Aparecida document, authored by Pope Francis, that emphasized what in ordinary term you will call theology of the people. That is, that it is us, not just a few of us, but all of the people. I mean, some will accuse him of being a Peronist, that populist government in Argentina that was revolutionary in trying to focus both the socio-economic programs and policies on the people. But for Pope Francis, what he did, calling Holy Trinity Church, the people in Gaza every day, was typical. Pope Francis, as many of you will remember, that on Holy Thursday, the last visit he made outside of the Vatican was to a prison. He had no energy, but he insisted on going to be with the prisoners. And while he was leaving, the journalists were asking him questions. Why do you keep on coming here? He said, every time I come here, I ask the good Lord, why them and not me? And Pope Francis has been anti-war. He has proclaimed in several of his messages the gospel nonviolence, that the future of the world cannot be built on violence, killing people, destroying people, and building arms and ammunition. So he says, when thousands of people are drowning in the Mediterranean, the stock exchange does not go down. But when some people lose millions, then the stock exchange will go down. They are human beings, like he said. When I stand before a person, I'm standing on holy ground. Therefore, what was going on and what is still going on in Gaza, you remember also that 2 years ago, Pope Francis cried about the war in the killings in Ukraine. When the first visit he went outside, once he became a pope, was to Lampedusa, where he wept and threw flowers into the Mediterranean as he bemoaned thousands of many people from Africa, from Syria, the Middle East, the rest of the Middle East, and other parts of the world who are drowning in the Mediterranean, migrants who have lost their way. So he has a particular love for people who are, as he normally says, at the existential peripheries of life. That's the mission that he sent some of us to meet those people who are seldomly heard from in the church. Prisoners, the elderly, people who are in detention camps, migrants, LGBTQ community members, people who have left the church, who have left the priesthood or the religious life. And for him, it's not about endorsing any lifestyle. People misunderstand him. He says 2 years ago, and that resonates with me constantly, during the World Youth Day in Lisbon, Portugal, on exactly August the 3rd, 2023, at a speech he gave to young people. He used the word 3 times, todos, todos, todos. That is saying all of us, all of us, all of us. And he asked the young people to repeat after him, all of us, that the church is for all of us. And the church is a home for all of us, because God knows each person, he says, by name. And he asked them, say again, God knows you by name. What is he doing? It is saying clearly, every human being is a child of God. What you do is also important, but first of all is to recognize that whether you are good or bad, whether you are young or old, whatever your socioeconomic status, that human beings should not just be expendable, but rather should be prized.
Okay, Father Stan, if you can hear me, let's just conclude our conversation with some insight on what you think will happen to all the initiatives that this late Pope had taken to bring the Catholic Church closer to places where people felt distant from the Catholic Church, especially his initiatives in Africa. Do you think that when we have a new Pope, that there's a tendency that this new Pope will continue on some of those initiatives that Pope Francis had initiated?
I think so, because one of the most, I think, enduring legacies of Pope Francis was the extensive consultation of all the Catholic faithful throughout the world between 2021 and last year, 2024, the Synod on Synodality. And that Synod on Synodality produced a very important document. So we are in the process of implementing the decisions, not of Pope Francis, it is the decision of the whole church, that we need to be a welcoming church, a church where everyone's gifts and talents are embraced with the same generosity, kindness, and consideration, a church of co-responsibility, a church of solidarity, and a church of synodality. That is a listening church. So those decisions are already being implemented, and there are 10 study groups that Pope Francis set up to implement and deepen the understanding of some of the decisions made. And one of the last acts of Pope Francis, even from the hospital, was to sign off that these decisions and the process of implementing the synodal decisions should now begin. It was to start in May. My hope is that the next Pope, just like Cardinal Parolin, who presided over the Mass yesterday at the Vatican, the second day of Novena Masses for Pope Francis, said the momentum started by Pope Francis should be continued, because the only way we can honor the legacy of a prophet, that is someone who saw tomorrow, is not simply to praise him or to cry at his funeral or at his death, but to do what the disciples of Jesus did, to run even farther than the master, who worked only for 3 years, and his followers have been working for 2,000 years. So Pope Francis had made his own contribution to the church. We will take the good things from it. We will take the lessons from it, especially articulated in the synodal document. And then hopefully the new Pope already has, if you like, a vademecum that can serve as a good manifesto and a roadmap for the future of Catholicism and the world.
I understand. Thank you for your time. And I know how passionate you've been about the work you and your colleagues have done with the Pope, and I know how sad this period is for you. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that people like you will continue to write and then to look for that silent majority in the church.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And joining me now is the past District Rotaract representative, Alan Ntambi. Alan is in Nigeria for some Rotaract work. Alan, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
How was your trip?
My trip was fantastic. It's been a couple of learning and good experiences in Nigeria.
So why are you in Nigeria?
I am here in Nigeria. I came to attend, I was invited to attend the Nigerota, the National Rotaract Conference. Nigeria has 6 districts, Rotary districts. Actually, it's the only country with such number of districts in Africa. Mm-hmm. And I was interested to come and see what the young people are doing down here in Nigeria, but also share with them best practices on how best we can grow ourselves as young people while we transform our communities.
Well, Rotaract spans more than 100 8 countries and territories.
Yeah.
From your leadership experience, what do you believe unites young leaders globally? And what unites them even beyond the cultural, the political, and the social differences? What is that magic binding factor that holds young people together to serve?
Now, what brings us together is the common goal, the service to humanity. The fact that we come together and we forget our religious affiliations. We forget our political affiliations. We forget our own needs, but look out to the greater good to build the communities that we live in. Because I want to say some of us, most of us young people that are in Rotaract are privileged to be where we are. But then what worries us is the communities we live in. If we do not sustain them, if we do not help them catch up, get closer to where we are, then we are equally in a danger. And it's what every other person out there needs to be looking out. Because yes, you will hide in your fence and you have the security at your gate. But what about when you walk out of your gate on the streets?
What happens to you?
What happens to you? Yes, you're looking good. You're taking care of your own children. You're taking them to good schools. That's perfect, thank you. But guess what? Your daughter, your son, is going to meet that other person, young person, who has not been brought up well, who has been brought up in a very hard life. And they are bringing you such a person as your daughter-in-law, as your son-in-law, not cultured, not given the opportunity you gave your children. Eventually, it is catching up with you. So
somehow it will rub off on you.
Definitely. Now, Rotaract gives us an opportunity to address that.
Okay, let me talk about you. You're a young person.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering why you had to travel all the way, thousands of miles, doing Rotary and Rotaract work. What is inspiration? What drives you?
I have grown up as a young man. At a certain point, I have also been in need. I remember I was almost dropping out of school. My father is a retired army officer in Uganda. And then at one point, he could not pay for my school fees. But I'd associated with Rotary as an Interact. I know Rotary has several levels. The Interact Club for young people in high school, the Rotaract Club for young people, young professionals and tertiary institutions, then Rotary. So I'd associated with Rotary as a young person. Then I knew if I dare drop out of school, then I'll not have an opportunity. There will not be space for me in the Rotary fraternity. But getting the opportunity then to get better, then I thought I also need to help other people see things the way I see them, making them get better. For example, I was in Ghana last week. I am here in Nigeria, but also I have a job. I'm employed somewhere. So what inspires me is seeing other young people every day get better, other young people transforming themselves. And we keep telling young people, our elders keep telling us that young people are the future of tomorrow's leaders, are the future's leaders. Maybe I should pose a question here. When is the future? And where is it? Because yesterday we addressed today as tomorrow, right? And then tomorrow, and then we can say tomorrow. And certainly we just have a few minutes to tomorrow, which will now become the today. So that's what inspires me, telling the young people that, you know, now there's nothing like the future. It's not there. The future is now. And if we are the leaders of the future, that means we are the leaders of today. So let's start now to make the world we want to see.
That leads me to asking, are the young people ready to lead today and lead tomorrow? I mean, we see a lot of slacking on the part of young people. Drugs, cults, alcoholism, prostitution, and this, what some people have called generational selfishness. Are they really ready to lead today and lead tomorrow?
You know, I would say readiness is relative. But also readiness is it's not a one-day thing. You need to have a starting point. Where is the starting point? And the starting point is now. It's now. Everywhere, wherever you are. It's now. There is never going to be a readiness or you being ready unless you start now. If you cannot speak to people, if you cannot stand in the crowd and say word, we are saying start now. How do you say good morning or good evening to your parent? How do you say hi guys? How do you mobilize your friends to do something? And that's what inspires me. That's why I'm in Nigeria. Nigeria's GDP, last I checked, was at $358 billion. Where I come from, our GDP is just $48 billion in Uganda. But when I look at the Rotary and Rotaract in Uganda, I want to believe there is something my Nigerian friends and family can learn from Uganda. And that's why I came to touch base with them, telling them that, you know what, we can do this. And I'm telling them it's just a matter of looking at priorities. What are your life's priorities? What is it that you want to see? And after knowing what you want to see, or even what you want to know, then the how becomes easier. But when you know the what and understand why you need to do it, then answering the how becomes easy. Because you have now you know what you want to do. And then you're convicted by the why. You know, if I don't do this, this is what will come. So that answers your why. So young people in drugs, yes, they are there. And maybe I want to go back to our leaders. And when I say our leaders, I go back to our parents. I go back to our leaders at where we work from. I go back to our teachers. The mentorship we get. The unfortunate bit of it is that many people has classified mentorship as me sitting in front of you and you speak to me. And I want us to have a different dimension looking at mentorship for young people. And this is my appeal to our elders. Please, let's look at mentorship differently now. What you want us to become, please do that. Let's just watch you do it.
Leading by example.
Lead by example. Please don't tell us to do it. You want us to dress well, decently, dress decently. You want us to be, not to be corrupt people, don't be corrupt. You don't want us to lie, don't lie, because certainly we know when you're lying. And that way, Africa will be secured.
Ntambi, is that not what they call buck passing? You know, I'm talking about the challenges that a lot of young people are having, and probably what people of your generation are doing to make that better. And you're pushing the buck to parents and the older ones.
I am actually not pushing it. The Africans,
because
where I come
the
from,
the implication of what you're saying is that we are not leading by example.
Where I come from, we have a saying. That the old bird teaches the young bird how to fly. Even I am a father. Most of the things I see my young daughter doing at home, I clearly see it is a replica of either my behavior or the mother's behavior. Because she learns firsthand by seeing, by observing.
Okay. How about those that are already caught in the web? Maybe some people around them have not led by example, have not set the right, put them on the right track, had not shown them the right way, and they are caught in the web. Let's talk about the kind of work Rotary will do in those directions.
And that's why some of us are here. That's why we have the 4,500 Rotaractors in Nigeria, in the 6 districts. And they are coming to the communities, to the fellow young people, to tell them that, look, I am here, I am your age, I am your age mate. I am not using the drugs and I'm surviving. I am comfortably okay. I don't have the much money that you think you should be having right now. But you know what? I wake up every day diligently and go to work. When I'm given work to do at my workplace, I am very responsible to deliver. That's what young people in Rotaract do. The first goal of Rotaract is to develop professional and leadership skills. And the second one is to emphasize respect for the right of others and promote ethical standards. Now, these ethical standards are the examples we portray out to the young people. And I want to tell employers out there, if you want the right person to employ, look into Rotaract. You will be amazed.
That's some PR you're doing.
I mean, look into Rotaract. Be very deliberate. Into Rotaract.
Is it because of the kind of training?
Because of the mentorship.
Ghana from.
Because of the training. And imagine they are doing these kind of works not paid. For example, I led Rotaract in my district as DRR. And one of the things I did most was public image, public relations, marketing the organization. So after my year as a district Rotaract representative, I was invited for a job at one of the universities in Uganda. The professor is a Rotarian and he told me my university is struggling with public image. And I told him I have not done PR for an organization. He told me, I've seen you doing it and I know you will do it. Now, young people have skills that need to be put to use. And that's where young people in Rotaract, you see them going for medical camps. You see them using their skills, teaching. I attended a project in Ghana last week where I saw young people teaching the communities to make shoes, to make money. Where I saw young people teaching young girls how to make sanitary pads. I saw young people teaching the communities how to make liquid soap, empowering them economically. And then I see governments, I don't know in Nigeria, but back home, I see governments spend a lot of money on empowering communities with such skills. Sometimes the money never goes where it's supposed to go. But then these young people are coming in. So our role as young people in Rotaract, and why I think every parent should consider having their children join Rotaract is the change of mindset, the commitment to do work, being community aware. That's what Rotaract does.
Today's young people are really what we could call people of the digital age. And you know, the world is their forte. You know, they are globally minded, and you see them very passionate about change. And I'm asking, how is your organization leveraging, you know, on technology, innovation, and collaboration to empower this new generation of young people? How are you doing that?
Now, at Rotaract Africa, when I came into office as president, I realized that we have some lot of untapped potential. We have over 19,000 young people in Rotaract Africa, in 47 African countries. And I was like, what do we use these numbers for? So that they are not just numbers. And then I realized we have so many young professionals. We have those in the tech world like me. I'm a data and software engineer.
Okay.
We have those in the teaching profession. We have those in the medical world, in the all the sectors of life. So, and I'm telling them, how can I be in Uganda and I impact someone in Liberia without going there? And that's where the digital world comes in. We are creating what we call, for example, the Rotaract Africa Leadership Academy. Free of charge.
Is it virtual?
Virtual. It's virtual. Then I reach out to experienced leaders like you. I tell you, know what, you do not have to leave Nigeria. Can you give us an hour of a lecture online? And then I'll give you the audience. I'll put together 1,000 young people. You speak to them all over Africa. And you're offering your services to these young people, but you would have impacted the generation in Africa. Digital. We are asking them, come, let's learn some skills. Okay? You have a Facebook page of 5,000 followers. Instead of posting a picture when you're at maybe a food hub somewhere, telling us how you're enjoying chicken, why don't you ask Signature TV to influence for Signature TV? Tell them, you know what, I have 5,000 followers. I'd like to be posting Signature TV's programs on my platform. And then you can get money, because trust me, Signature TV has a budget for public relations. Even what it does most is still offer platforms for businesses to grow, for communities to grow. So you would have widened Signature TV's reach. And that's what we are telling young people, use these platforms. You have your Instagram, you have 10,000 followers. How are you making money out of it? And this is one of the programs now we are doing with the young people in Africa.
Okay, looking ahead, what bold dreams and innovations do you envision for the Rotaract movement in the next maybe decade, especially as we lead this group in Africa?
Recently we had a discussion on our forum, having a strategy about Rotaract at 2030. We have over 45,000 Rotarians on the African continent. And then we have the 19,000 young people between the age of 18 to maybe 30 Rotaractors. And these are the future Rotarians. So our dream is to see these young people get into work, get into the job market as professionals, people of integrity, people of goodwill, people that are community aware. And what is this going to do? It's not just a solution for Rotaract. It's a solution for the African continent. You should be knowing about the 4-way tests. Of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? When I'm trying to do something, is it fair to other people, or is it only fair to me? Will it build goodwill? And if we ask young people, we're asking young people to lead their life reflecting on these principles, so that we can, it's not just about Rotaract, but have a continent, have communities that are not selfish. It's not just about them, but it's also about the others. That way we are building a community of people of integrity that are going to run our continent.
Alan Ntambi, that's a beautiful way to end our conversation. And I must thank you for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me today.
But before I let you go, tonight, your presence here has reminded us that real leadership is born not from power, but from service and vision. Across every border, young leaders are building the future with courage, hope, and unity. As the world mourns the passing of His Holiness the Pope, and as the conclave prepares to choose the next spiritual guide, we are reminded that the call for compassionate, borderless leadership is greater than ever. May we rise to the challenge, and may hope continue to light our way forward. Let's keep believing in the power of service and the dream of our united world. I won't let you go until I leave you with this.
Oh. Thank you.
And that's our program for tonight. I'm Vinmartin Obiora Ilo from Enugu in Nigeria. Thanking you for watching and asking you that we have to do this again tomorrow night at 11 p.m.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you. And thank you for supporting the young people. I'm informed and told
Thank you.
of the great service.